Amy Sheffield here to talk to you about another instructional tech tool that I use in my online classrooms. This time I'm going to talk to you about Google Forms. I use Google Forms for all kinds of things. I use them for formative assessments, exit ticket questions, and to help me gather data on what my students are or are not learning in my classes. One of the main uses that I have for Google Forms is as an exit ticket. I use the form as an exit ticket at the end of my live sessions. The form has questions that pertain to the material we covered in class that day, and the exit ticket then serves several purposes for me. First, it's a formative assessment of student learning. I can use the responses to inform future instruction. So if the students did not understand what we covered in class that day, I can adjust my instruction during our next session to cover the material again if I need to. Second, the form is for attendance purposes. In our virtual school, attendance counts for 10% of a student's grade. So I use Google Forms as an exit ticket to determine how those attendance points will be distributed. Students who attend the live class sessions get 3 out of the 5 daily attendance points just for coming to class. But if they want the full 5 points, they must respond to the exit ticket questions. Their responses demonstrate if they were participating in class or if they were just in class. My class is then recorded for students who cannot attend live sessions, and then they're able to view those recordings when their schedule allows. When a student does watch a recording, I have no way of knowing if they've watched it. So I have to have a way of giving them the attendance points for the recordings that they watch. I use the Google Form exit ticket to fulfill this purpose. As long as a student has the link to the form, they can complete the exit ticket whenever they want to earn their attendance points. It's a great thing. I can change the questions around. This is just one exit ticket. I grabbed real quick and put a screenshot on here for you to see. The student's name goes in here. I encourage them, because of privacy and all the privacy rules we have to obey, I encourage them to just put their last name and first initial. And then they have 3 questions that they ask. Normally I have one question that applies to what we learned in class, and then I always have these 2 questions on the exit ticket. Did you feel prepared for today's lesson? Tell me why or why not. And then what would make today's lesson more effective? And that gives me a little bit of feedback to let me know if I'm doing a good job of covering the material with my students. Right. Like I said, I forgot I had this slide in there. But anyway, I use it to collect attendance points in addition to data and helping inform my instruction. So what happens, this is a sample of a slide at the end of class. I will have an exit ticket for attendance point slide in my presentation to them, and I will ask them their question. It has the instructions on here for how to earn the points and what to do if they're watching the recording, and it also has the Google Form link that I share with my students. When I created my Google Form, I went up here and clicked on send and then clicked on the link. That gives you a link. If you don't want the link to be very long, you can also click on this shortened URL, and it will allow you to have it'll give you a shorter URL that you can then give to your students. They go to the link, they answer the exit ticket, I get the data. The form grades the questions if I have multiple choice, which I do for my quizzes. I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. But I can then go through, I know who has responded, I know who to give attendance points to, and how many points to give to my students. And I also know if they've been paying attention in class, or if there's information that we've covered that they need more help with. The other thing I do with Google Forms is I sometimes do pop quizzes. I know students they just love pop quizzes so much. This one here, and please ignore the typo, I missed that when I put the form together, but this is a pop quiz that I gave to my students over the Agatha Christie play that we were reading called The Mousetrap. And I created my multiple choice questions, made it where each of them had a certain number of points. In this one, each of the questions were worth 3 points. When the students respond to the pop quiz, I get the responses right away, and the responses are graded so I know if they chose a correct or an incorrect answer, and then I know what material I need to go back over with my students. The IST standards that cover this particular learning tool or instructional tool are the IST standard for educators 7B, provide alternative ways for students to demonstrate competency and reflect on their learning using technology, and IST standard for educators 6A, foster a culture where students take ownership of their learning goals and outcomes in both independent and group settings. One of the big things in the virtual school is that ownership of their learning goals, and using the Google Forms is one way of doing that, especially when students are having to watch recorded videos of my lessons. They're taking ownership by taking responsibility for submitting their Google Forms with their exit ticket answers. Check it out. Again, it's Google Forms. Great resource for making quizzes, tests, surveys, exit tickets, all of those neat and interesting things that we do on paper. You can now put on a form that your students can use any device, whether it be an iPad or a computer. They can use any device to access that form and answer questions for you. Thank you again for listening to my video. Have a great evening.